Πατάς το... Κάτσε, περίμενα, γιατί πρέπει... Λοιπόν, ξεκινάμε γιατί μας πιέζει.
Shall we begin because we are running out of time? And we are already 10, that's 10 past 8. One of the main topics of this year's International Book Fair of Thessaloniki is the relation that can be developed between peoples through literature. And the truth is that at the core of this dialogue lies the question whether literature can be bridge peoples through the usage of words. And let alone through poetry in specific that talks to the heart of the people. We are more than happy to have very distinguished poets from Syria, Nouri Al-Jarrah. It's a great honor to have him here. But not only that, this is a great effort from publishers Nikos, publisher's house that has embraced poetry from the Arab world and turned it into an accessible commodity for the Greek literary audience. And the truth is that the relations between the Greeks and the Arab-speaking people is a very unique relationship in terms of culture, tradition, and many more. And it is a very positive relationship, as a matter of fact. So this is an advantage that we are using now and extended even more. And I think that it is something that we all need to maintain those relationships. So this attempt on behalf of publishing house Nikos is a very fruitful one, and hopefully it's going to bring even better result in the near future. And in this sense, I feel that today's event has a dual role. On the one hand, it is a good introduction for the literary audience to realize that we really have a very good material from Arabic poetry, and it's going to help us all to understand their culture a little better. And on the other hand, this is a great opportunity for us all to get to know a distinguished poet who is also the director of a very important journal, and he's going to talk to us about his goals and vision as well. And I think that it's high time I gave the floor to my fellow speakers. So I want to give the floor first to Persa. She is an author herself and a translator. She has also been awarded with the Gaddafi Literary Literature Prize, and she has a very impressive resume. She has translated 14 um, books of Mahfouz and many other Arab authors, and she has also been awarded in 2017 by the Greek Literature Authors of Greece of Association. And generally speaking, she's a multi-awarded author and translator, also a great person. And I can tell you for sure that she really loves her job. Also, Mr. Kyriakos Kendrotis is joining us in this panel, who is a professor at the University of Macedonia. He teaches at the Department of International Relations in the Faculty of Balkan and Slavic Studies. A person with deep knowledge in the wider area here. And let me tell you a few things about Mr. Al-Jarrah. He comes from Syria. He was born in Damascus in 1956. In 1981, he left his country for political reasons. He has lived in Beirut, Cyprus, and Italy. Now, today, he lives in London. He's also the publisher of 4 journals, Al-Katiba among them, and Al-Jadid is the other one. And he has played a very important role in turning the literature of the Arab world known to the wider world. And he has also published poetry collections that have been translated into 20 different languages, and has focused among his topics is the crisis in Syria and the relations of his country with Greece and Cyprus. Persa, the floor is yours. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for being here, everyone. It's an honor for us. It's also an honor to have Nouri here. He is a very important author, but also a good friend already. And I really want to thank the publishing house of Nikos for their trust in a period of time during which bigger publishing houses were very hesitant towards my vision, but the publishing house of Nikos really supported me, and within 2.5 years we created 5 different exquisite works, 3 anthologies among them, one very recently published. And among the authors that were published is Nouri Al-Jarrah. And you can see here the title of the book. And you can see that it is a reference to Greece, No War in Troy. This is an exquisite example of modernism and allegory, and the perfect combination of the Greek and the Arabic tradition, while touching upon the issue of Syria with the usage of poetry, bringing it to a contemporary model and turning it into a very modern work. Thank you very much for your work. He also loves Greek literary tradition, and I have to admit that he is much more knowledgeable than what I am. He has taught me so many important things about Greek literature. Mr. Kendrotis, also thank you very much to you for accepting our invitation to participate in this discussion today with Mr. Nouri. It's also a great honor to have you here. Um, and now I would like to give the floor to you, Mr. Kendrotis. Can you hear me all? Good evening. It's a great pleasure to be here, to participate in this panel. The truth is that it is my very first attempt to be a member of such a panel. And let me tell you why. I teach international relations in the University of Macedonia at the Department of Balkan, Slavic and Eastern Studies. And we talk about international relations, especially in the Middle East. We recently had a conference on these issues, and this made me think and reflect upon what does actually the concept international relations means in the Middle East. And the truth is that no one can know deeply what this actually means if you don't have an equally deep knowledge of what a family means for these people, for this culture. So here I am today as a reader and a lover of poetry, and I'm not here as a professor. I'm here to talk to you and share my perspective with you as a reader. I really enjoyed reading this book. It was a book that touched my heart because it's rather clear to me that this is a world that maybe in the Western countries tends to be more forgotten. We talk so much about artificial intelligence and so many different topics, but there are many countries on this planet that are still trying to have a normal life. So here, this is the first chance for me to meet Nouri Al-Jarrah in person, and I'll make an attempt to share my feelings and thoughts that were triggered by reading this book, my feelings and thoughts about this world in the Middle East. I can feel that we have got so much in common, and at the same time we are unknown to each other. We are close and far away from each other at the same time. So it's a common place, but a place with many differences. We have the Mediterranean Sea. This is the matrix of our cultures. But on the other hand, it's rather clear that this is also the world of Nouri Al-Jarrah. He's a resident of the UK, but in reality his heart and his thoughts goes back to Damascus, which is characterized by all those colorful images and is so wealth in tradition. So this book, this collection of poems, gives us the best, the perfect opportunity to get to know this world. It consists of two different parts. The first one is on Syria, but the main characters derive from the Greek mythology and history, the Greek past. Syria is a beautiful place, but it's also a place of sacrifice. I could see through the narrative and recognize Helen from the story of Troy. It is as if we have caught the parallel development of the Syria of the old times and today's Syria. And the second part does not only touch upon the Greek heritage, but also talks about the modern European culture. Let's not forget that Europe, according to Greek mythology, first appeared in those stories, in those lands, and then came to Greece. So, in that second part of the book, there are also some interventions talking about religions, and about Christianity, Islam, and this is also interesting because it is a combination of things that we have already known and things that are completely unknown to us. But at the same time, at the core of it all, it's the concept of family and the role of family in the people's history. It is as if a civil war is taking place at the same time. The poet is making an attempt to make space for everything: human memory, the war taking place, conflict zones, and that form of of civil war that has divided families and friends. And there is also a question that is posed by the poets here, and, and it's about the bloodshed. Who are the people that are being sacrificed in all of that? I think that you also have one poem under the title 7 Days. I've also taken down some notes in Arabic, but I wouldn't dare to pronounce it in front of you because I'm not very confident about my Arabic. Taking into account, of course, the fact that this area has always combined bloodshed and beauty, and through the example of Greek mythology and the history of the Hellenistic periods, the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, and Islam until nowadays, all the settlers and the colonization, the decolonization as well, and national states, all of this is such rich history, and you can find elements of all of this in this book. And there is also the idea of heroism and the concept of glory, but at the same time all of this goes together with exile, death, bloodshed, killing, and this is a typical characteristic of our motherland, which is the area of the Mediterranean. Nuri al-Jarrah has experienced himself all of these things. It is the loads of his own dreams and visions. I believe that when he left his country for the first time, he was very young. So it is the depiction of his origins, but also the depiction of the experience of the war. And the division, the personal division as well, a person living in the UK reflecting upon his own homeland. And this is common with all of the civil wars and the conflicts that we see in Odyssey and the Iliad and later on in the Bible. All of these things are either glorified or criticized at the same time. And if you take a closer look to his work, you can see this duality. You can recognize that all of these things are juxtaposed and coexisting all the time. Nuri al-Jarrah is making an attempt to push the war away, and unfortunately this war looks like Cronus a little bit, a monster that devours on its own children. Don't forget that until 1945, here in Greece, and on a global level as well, conflict was basically the solution to which humanity resorted. Also, we can see that the author identifies to Ulysses, but you can also recognize the figure of Penelope. And I also felt that there is this bittersweet farewell as well, because he says that we need to leave this unfair country, this unfair place. There is only injustice. So on the one hand, you have got the saga of Homer, on the one hand, which is pertinent to today's narrative. He's turning to Aesop, for example, and Socrates to understand what is really happening today. Because it turns out that it's all about logistics, it's all about give and take. We have changed so much that we are missing emotion and human values. In reality, it's not archaeology in a strict sense. He's not trying to uncover the past and to bring things to the surface, but it is a deep scratch to the humanity's soul, trying to get back to today's reality and sculpt a new statue and combine all of these beauties from the coastline of Syria towards the Greek islands and the rest of the Mediterranean and arrive in Venice, which is a symbol of modern Europe. It is a symbol of the contemporary Western wealth. But probably this wealth has its origins in the marbles of Damascus or the Greek marbles. But we're not here to compare and contrast. We are here to talk about our common visions and common memories. And this is how it all goes together. So just to close my sharing, I feel that what he is attempting to do here is to push the war away from our lives, from the neighborhoods of the people, because it turns out that war will never stop on its own anyway. It is created by the states and the status quo, but it basically destroys the human soul. Nouri Al-Jarrah is trying to fight the darkness and bring light back to our lives, shed light on all of these issues through his poems. And war is a via recta, as it is mentioned here, and is the humanus maximum. It's the cruelty that people have faced here as well. Via recta is Shari al-Mustaqim. I don't know if I am pronouncing it correctly enough. And let's see what this passage is about. So the speaker is explaining this passage in ancient Greek. So, with this poem, the whole history of the Islamic world and Syria is presented, and there are references in Kabbalah and all of these issues that are so similar to the divisions that we have seen in Christianity as well in the European countries. So Nouri Al-Jarrah is managing to get to the end after having described all of this conflict, and concludes by suggesting to take this passage inside the coffin, however. And this coffin ends up in the Mediterranean waters, which today has been turned into a huge graveyard. This is something which is not wished by the poet. That's why he keeps dreaming. That's why he is sculpting his new statues. So these are my thoughts. These are my feelings that were triggered to me while reading this poem. Thank you very much for this poem. Thank you. Thank you, Nouri. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Me to talk about.
Ναι, εντάξει, ναι. Όχι. Έχεις πάρα πολλά να πεις.
You're right, you have so much to say though.
Θα μιλήσει στα αραβικά, στη γλώσσα του είναι πιο νιώθει πονάτη και εγώ θα προσπαθήσω
Thank you very
να
much.
τα
Thank you very
μεταφράσω.
much. Καλησπέρα. Good evening.
Good evening.
شيء لأضيف.
Δεν άφησε τίποτα ο καθηγητής σε μένα να προσθέσω.
أرجو أن يستحق كتابي كل هذا الذي استعرضه عنه.
Ελπίζει να...
He hopes that all of those positive comments are true.
ويمكن قراءته من زوايا متعددة واستكشاف أنفسنا والعالم من خلال كلمات
Everyone reads from their own point of view. Therefore, there are so many explanations as many people.
بعض الشعر ولكن أحب أن أتحدث عن وجودي معكم الآن. أشكر حضوركم طبعا.
I want you to listen to some poems so that you can see how I depict what Mr. Kedrotis talked about, but I would like to say a few words about myself as well. It's my first time here in Thessaloniki. It reminds me of Alexandria, of course. It's a typical comparison. I love Egypt very much, but Alexandria has a special place in my heart. And the first time I stepped my foot in Thessaloniki, I felt that my
وبيرسا أولا والدعوة الكريمة من المعرض ومن الناشر. أنا سعيد وفخور بهذه الصحبة.
Εντάξει, αναφέρθηκε στο ότι
due to this, thanks to this international fair and the invitation of my publisher, I'm here. From a very young age, I loved and read the ancient Greek literature, and it has influenced the way I'm thinking.
عبر اللغة مباشرة وإنما عبر الترجمة.
Through translation, of course, I came into contact with Greek literature.
أما بالنسبة للشيء الهيلينستي، دمشق هي التي أعطتني منذ نعومة أظافري هذا الشعور بوحدة أو بعظمة التنوع الثقافي للمتوسط.
Since a very young age, since I was a child, I came into contact with Greek literature thanks to Damascus, because it was there where I understood the multicultural identity that
منحتني الشغف
we share in the Mediterranean Sea.
في المتوسط وراء كل لمحة جمال تلك الحضارة العظيمة التي تشكلت ما 200 سنة خصوصا قبل الميلاد و200 سنة بعد الميلاد وأعني بها المجتمع.
Each corner, every corner of Damascus, the Greek monuments taught something about Hellenistic period.
أسبق على 200 سنة قبل الميلاد.
I'm talking about, of course, the Hellenistic period.
هذه اللحظة الهيلينستية هي أعظم لحظة في نظري تحققت في التاريخ القديم.
I think this period was one of the most important periods ever.
ولكن شهدت التنوع الذي تأسست عليه الإمبراطوريات.
This period experienced the rise of many empires, but the multicultural presence that
ومنذ تلك اللحظة كما تعرفون وحتى اللحظة
the
الحاضرة
people
نقاوم
shared.
دفاعا عن التنوع الذي نشأت في التاريخ إرادات وقيم وتشكيلات للقوة لتحطيم التنوع.
Me and the contemporary intellectuals try to make this period revive through literature and to show the connection among peoples.
قديمة في الميثولوجيا المتوسطية هي انعكاس للتعددية الثقافية في الأرض.
I think that the many gods and goddesses of this period is something really characteristic that depicted this multifaceted society. And what single god religions have introduced about the presence of one god,
من الإله الواحد إلى الحاكم الأوحد.
from one governor to one god. This was the begin for the disaster, to which all intellectual people react all over the world. And I think that religions were cultures.
طبعا هذا حديث يعني ربما يشبه أحاديثنا على المقهى ولكن فكرة نزع الغطاء عن التعددية والتنوع الذي تأسس في اللحظة الهلينستية هذا هو عمل كامل بالنسبة لي كشاعر.
Αυτό καθεαυτό το θέμα είναι που
This issue is present throughout my personality and my work.
مع آخرين كثيرين في العالم.
και γι' αυτό χαίρεται που μοιράζεται αυτό το έργο σε
And I'm glad to share my work with many people throughout the world because it has been translated to 20 languages.
الملامح الأساسية التي حقيقة ولدت فيها الشغف لمتوسط.
My life in Damascus when I was a young boy grew my love for the Mediterranean Sea.
περισσότερο τα μνημεία βέβαια.
And most of all, the ancient ruins and monuments.
Στην αρχαία Δαμασκό, κάτω από
In ancient Damascus,
مدينة نائمة
υπάρχει μια
وتحت تلك المدينة النائمة مدينة أخرى نائمة
υπάρχει άλλη μια πόλη που
there is another city sleeping, and underneath this city, another one.
لا تكشف عن الآثار حتى لا تهدم بيوتها وتستخرج الآثار.
οπότε υπάρχουν επιπλέον μνημεία τα οποία είναι
So there are more monuments that we don't know because there are the houses of people who live there,
όπως το Δαμασκηνό Κολοσσέο.
like for example the Colosseum of Damascus.
ومعبد جوبيتر تمبل الذي بنيت عليه الكنائس البيزنطية وبني عليها المسجد.
Πάνω σε αυτούς τους αρχαίους δρόμους,
And on those ancient roads like Via Recta, the temples, either Christian or Muslim, were built, and they hide the other temples of Zeus, for example, the ruins of it, and we can still see them.
οι αρχαίες πύλες που
The ancient gates that were built even before that.
الشغف بهذه العوالم، الشغف بهذه الأبنية العظيمة والكبيرة تولد منذ الطفولة وكنت
όλο αυτό ενέπνευσε τον εβραίος
All this
από μικρή ηλικία,
inspired some
εβραίος το οποίο δεν
awe
μπορούσε να αντιπαλέψει ποτέ.
to me,
Μέχρι σήμερα
and until now
المعاصرة مدينة
it lives with me.
المدينة الحاضرة
σημερινή πόλη
رفضتها منذ طفولتي لأنها كانت مدينة الفاسدة،
The city of today,
مدينة القسوة، مدينة الأبوية، مدينة الواحدية.
η σύγχρονη πόλη
the contemporary sea,
δεν την αγάπησε ποτέ.
wasn't the place I ever loved because it symbolizes patriarchy, fanatism, and all the things that I'm opposed to.
بنيت عليه أو بنت عليه بيدها وحدها.
Αλλίωσαν τις αρχαίες αξίες, τις παλιές αξίες.
They altered the values, the ancient values that people
أطلت عليكم ولكن أقول لأن
believed in back then.
المعاصرة مخيلتي فرغتها مما يتجول فيها ويتحرك ويتأسس في المعاصرة وأسكنتها شخوص وطيوف وملامح الماضي كما تخيلت كطفل أو
Μέσα στο μυαλό του
So in my mind,
έδεσε ότι δεν του ήταν αρεστό, ότι δεν του άρεσε,
I
ήταν σύγχρονο
took away whatever was unnecessary for me
και το
and
γέμισε
bad, and I filled my mind with people, places, and
πρόσωπα φανταστικά, θέματα φανταστικά που
visionary images which I put in my poetry, and I wish they were real. I think that modern Damascus represents really bad thing, and especially an ideology that I hate. This modern domain in this area has destroyed whatever positive, human, and good used to be there in the past. This is why I decided to become a poet, to reconstruct the past. And since it can be done, I try to do this through my poems. Let's read.
كلمات هوميروس الأخيرة. You like to read first and I read first. You read first what do you like to read the first the Greek text or the Arabic text?
Arabic first and then Greek.
Okay. كلمات هوميروس الأخيرة. الآن لابد من النظارة. لا حرب في طروادة، لا بحر ولا مراكب ولا سلالم على الأسوار، لا حصان خشبيا ولا جنودا يختبئون في خشب الحصان. سأعتذر لكم يا أبطالي الصرعى، أخيل بكعبه المجنح، هكتور بصدره الطروادي العريض، وأنت يا أجاممنون بلحيتك البيضاء وسيفك المسلط على رقاب البحارة الهاربين من المعركة. لا حرب في طروادة، لا دم ولا دموع، لا أقواس نصر ولا أطواق غار في الرؤوس، لا جروح في جثامين الرجال، لا قتلى ولا قبور، لا آس على الأسماء ولا باكيات في شرفات البكاء. لا حرب في طروادة. المراهق لم يقطف تفاحة لامرأة في شرفة، ولم يكن في المدينة زوج اسمه منيلاوس. هيلين وحدها كانت تتشمس في حديقة هوميروس، ولأجل وشاحها القرمزي وخدها الأسيل أسلم خياله للريح وأصابعه للأوتار. لا حرب في طروادة، لا مراكب على السواحل ولا جنود في المراكب. القمر يلهو في الحقول والشجرة تؤنس الحصان. لا حرب في طروادة. المنشد أسلم قيثارته للريح واسترد أصابعه من الأوتار. عودوا إلى بيوتكم، عانقوا الزوجات الصغيرات وقبلوا الأطفال وتلهوا بخمرة العيد. لا حرب في طروادة. بس هيدي لسه لاحقا.
لا بعد. Λοιπόν, κανένας πόλεμος στην Τρία. Ένα καθαρά αντιπολεμικό ποίημα με πολλούς συμβολισμούς και βέβαια παραλληλισμούς με τον πραγματικό πόλεμο.
The speaker is reading the relevant passage in Greek as it has been translated.
Χωρίς ξύλινα άλογα, μήτε στρατιώτες να κρύβονται σε δούριους ύπους. Θα ζητήσω συγγνώμη από τους ήρωές μου, από τον Αχιλλέα με την αχίλιο πτέρνα του, τον Έκτορα με τις φαρδιές τροικές του πλάτες και από τον Αγαμέμνονα με τη λευκή γενιάδα, ενώ τίνει το ξύφος του προς το καράβι, εκτοξεύοντας απειλές στους ναυτικούς που λιποτάκτησαν και εγκατέλειψαν τη μάχη. Κανένας πόλεμος στην Τρία, ούτε αίμα, ούτε δάκρυα, χωρίς τόξα θριάμβου, μήτε δάφνες στα κεφάλια, χωρίς πληγές πάνω στα κορμιά των πολεμιστών, χωρίς θύματα ή ταφόπλεκες πάνω στους τάφους και θρήνους γυναικών. Κανένας πόλεμος στην Τρία. Ο έφηβος δεν έκοψε το μήλο από το δέντρο για να το χαρίσει στη γυναίκα που στέκεται ακόμα στο παράθυρο. Στην πόλη δεν υπάρχει άνδρας με το όνομα Μενέλαος και η Ελένη μόνη της λιάζεται ως σήμερα στους κήπους του Ομήρου. Για χάρη της Ροδαλής, απαλής παριάστης, παρέδωσε το άτι του στον άνεμο και τα ακροδάκτυλά του στις χορδές. Κανένας πόλεμος στην Τρία, ούτε καράβια στις ακτές, ούτε στρατιώτες στα καταστρώματα των πλοίων. Το φεγγάρι πλανιέται ήρεμα πάνω από τα λιβάδια και το δέντρο κρατά συντροφιά στο άλογο. Κανένας πόλεμος στην Τρία. Ο κιθαροδός Απόλλωνας παρέδωσε την κιθάρα του στον άνεμο και απέσυρε τα δάχτυλά του από τις χορδές. Επιστρέψτε στις εστίες σας. Αγκαλιαστείτε με τις νεαρές συζύγους και φιλήστε τα παιδιά σας. Απολαύστε τον ίνο της γιορτής. Γιατί ο πόλεμος στην Τρία, λένε, είναι ένα μύθευμα. Οι επιστολές του Οδυσσέα.
رسائل أوديسيوس. من جاء بيتي.
The speaker is reading a passage in Arabic.
من طاف في الغرف. من نظر سريري. أنا لست أوديسيوس حتى يكون لي معجبون قرأوا قصتي وجاءوا يعزونني. لا، لست أوديسيوس لتكون لي أخت تطرز على المكنة شالا أو قميصا لشقيقها الغائب. لست أوديسيوس لامرأة ماتت ودفنت تحت السلم. لست أوديسيوس لأم. لست أوديسيوس لابن. لست أوديسيوس لأخت. أنا لست أوديسيوس. وهؤلاء الذين صرعوا وتخبطوا في فناء منزلي صرعهم القدر. من جاء بيتي في عربة. من جاء خفية وعندما لم أكن. من فتح الخزائن وقرأ رسائلي التي أرسلت لنفسي. أنا أوديسيوس الميت في باخرة.
Και εδώ υπάρχει παραλληλισμός ανάμεσα στον Οδυσσέα που έφυγε και στους πολεμιστές.
Here again, we have got a juxtaposition between Ulysses and the warriors from Syria, and of course all the soldiers that are fighting in any conflict zone. And now the speaker is reading the relevant passage translated into Greek.
Πόρτα της αυλής και περιφέρθηκε στα διαμερίσματά μου, τολμώντας να αντικρίσει το κρεβάτι μου. Σας βεβαιώνω, δεν είμαι ο Οδυσσέας, δεν εξολόθρευσα μνηστήρες εκείνους που διάβασαν την ιστορία μου και έφτασαν ως εδώ για να συλληπιθούν. Δεν είμαι ο Οδυσσέας της γυναίκας που υφαίνει στον αργαλιό της ένα σάλι ή ένα πουκάμισο για εκείνον τον απόντα αδερφό που έφυγε και χάθηκε για πάντα. Δεν είμαι ο Οδυσσέας της γυναίκας που πέθανε και θαύτηκε κάτω από τη σκάλα. Δεν έχω μάνα ούτε γιο που ονομάζεται τηλέμαχος. Και αυτοί που χτυπήθηκαν με μένος στην αυλή μου, τους σκότωσε το πεπρωμένο τους. Στα αλήθεια, ποιος έφτασε στο σπίτι μου ενώ απουσίαζα, ποιος άνοιξε το θησαυροφυλάκιο και διάβασε τις επιστολές που έστειλα σε μένα, είμαι ο Οδυσσέας που πέθανε στο πλοίο.
يعني شكرا لكم جميعا، شكرا لحضوركم وشكرا للداعين. شكرا. شكرا.
Ευχαριστούμε που ήρθατε. Ευχαριστούμε τον Νούρη που ήρθε. Ευχαριστούμε τον Νίκο.
Thank you for coming. Thanks, Nikos, the publisher. We should thank Stevi that took care of this collection. You should see the books. They are pieces of art. Thank you very much.